welcome to another edition of Debatable here on GodIsAGeek.com. My name is Colm Ahern, and this week I want to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure near and dear to yours. I want to talk about home. Take it away, Tom. It's a cold and stormy night outside, but you're on the couch with the fire lighting, enjoying a nice cup of tea with your family. You're there discussing the fall of Manchester United Football Club, or the stint of David Cameron as Prime Minister, or maybe one of your family members brings up a funny video they saw on YouTube. Perhaps even definitely the top 5 sexiest characters in video games link. Home. It's where you know you're safe, it's where you know you can be yourself, it's where the heart is. Sony wanted to tell its extended family to come in from the cold and enjoy each other's company in a new virtual space many years ago. Originally an accompaniment to the Getaway Black Monday on PS2, SCE Worldwide Studios president at the time, Phil Harrison, and now M. Traitor, had bigger ideas for this social hub. In 2007, he used the term Game 3.0 to describe what the PlayStation folks had in mind. An open beta began on December 11th, 2008, and PlayStation 3 owners could now truly say they had a place to call home. Once you moved into PlayStation Home, you got your own flat, and you could decorate it in any way you saw fit. You could get a new couch and put it there, and maybe a nice photo of some beautiful vista from a foreign land, and maybe a cat. I don't really know, because I never really played PlayStation Home. Well, that is until you see the For Your Amusement video that will be out on Friday. A lot of plugs in this episode, isn't there? Back in August, it was announced that Japanese homeowners would be evicted come March 2015, and recently the rest of the world also got the notice from their landlord, Sony Computer Entertainment. And you'll lose your deposit, kind of. Because if you're unaware, PlayStation Home isn't necessarily completely free. There are some items that one can acquire for zero monies, of course, but Home was also packed with some of those lovely microtransactions. But what do you care, right? PlayStation Home was a bucket of shit. Well, that's how it was perceived by many. Talk to your average video game playing person and they'll give you some derogatory soundbite about why PlayStation Home sucks, dude. And I don't completely disagree. I don't really think that PlayStation Home was either bodacious or gnarly. But I don't really get along with any of these social gaming spaces anyway. I don't really want to chat to a 10-year-old from Nashville, Tennessee about whether Peppa or George is better. With all of the negativity surrounding Sony's 3D virtual insanity reality, you'd think it was a complete failure, wouldn't you? Well, think again! In March 2013, in a press release related to some Doctor Who content, Sony claimed that there was 31 million PlayStation Home users across the globe. To give you some perspective, 8 months after this Doctor Who related content came to Home, there was 80 million PS3 sold worldwide. So taking these figures at face value, that would mean that 37% of PlayStation 3 owners were logging into Home while at home. And look, I know that number is a little skewed because I can only guess that the 31 number equates to the amount of people who have dabbled in Home for about 5 minutes and logged out never to come back, as well as the regular users. And those that did come back were greeted to some very interesting projects like Z. Endream CEO Patrick O'Luanig recently wrote a piece on gamesindustry.biz where he said a game like Z, an ARG game where you had to both scour the PlayStation Home world and your own for clues to find a character named Jess, wouldn't have worked anywhere else. Z also isn't an anomaly. Sodium, the Midway, Home Tycoon, PlayStation Home dwellers will be familiar with these names. In his piece, O'Luanig noted that people say that Home was a commercial failure, but we generated 7-figure revenues for several years with Home, and other studios did as well. Try telling us that it wasn't successful. Whilst it's difficult to really figure out how many Home users were doing it on a regular basis, those that were spending a bit of cash. They were a dedicated lot, but now they've nowhere to go. Currently on Kickstarter, developer Neotopia is looking to give people a home again with their game Neotopia. Looking for £250,000 and a ways off yet, but with plenty of time, the game/social playground promises all the things you'd imagine, like voice and text chat, customizable apartments, the ability to buy shit for your apartment with in-game cash that you probably buy with real cash, public events, avatars, the works. The hype surrounding Second Life over recent years seems to have died somewhat, but then again, it has been out for 11 years. But according to developer Linden Lab, they say that there are still 1 million people using the service this year. The Neotopia Kickstarter might have legs yet, and Sony might see that they're making a mistake. Making a mistake by shutting the whole thing down and not migrating to a new generation. There's clearly something there if Home is around for as long as it was. It must have been lucrative for Sony, and as Olunik said, lucrative for studios that may not have seen similar success with more traditional titles. You might be watching this and thinking that I'm talking complete bollocks, and if that's the case, that's completely fine. But just remember, everything released on these consoles doesn't have to cater to your specific needs and wants. Because there may be another person out there watching this that would love a 3D virtual space on PlayStation 4. Just to catch up with their buddies from home all over again. They could even talk about how there's fuck all to play on these new consoles. What a lovely thought. And now it's time for my favourite part of the show, where you get to voice your opinion on what I said 2 weeks ago, normally a week ago, but 2 weeks ago. And what I said 2 weeks ago was, I was talking about Destiny and review scores and the perception of review scores and how you should just fucking relax and take it in that there is a 10-point scale sometimes, maybe a 100-point scale, 20-point scale. It doesn't start at 7 and end at 10. 7 doesn't mean a shit game. And you let me know what you thought. So I'm going to initiate 2120 Vision and have a look at your comments. Mr. Toad, thank you so much. Toad Production INC, as always, friend of the show. Toad Production INC says, I never get why games reviews, or at least readers, are so focused on scores. If it was music, fiction or anything else, people would always read a review to see if it will fit their taste. Maybe it's because of the hours and price of games that people care so much. Probably also that people skip whole reviews just to argue about a number in the comments. Now, I think that everyone has their own perception or their own thoughts on scores and stuff like that. Personally, I like scores. I like that kind of finality on it. Kind of writing out your entire review and then saying, yes, this is a 7, 8, 6, 10, whatever. It's kind of horses for courses. But it is very important as well, as you said, Mr. Toad, to actually read the content of the fucking review, to get a deeper understanding of how that person felt about that game. So thank you very much for commenting. And also, Adam McDermott, thank you very much, Adam, for commenting. Adam says, I already know if I'm going to pick up a game halfway through a video review. The score at the end doesn't really matter to me. If it has enough that interests me, I will pick it up. One man's 7 is another man's 9. Very, very true. Which kind of relates back to my other comment about taking in the actual the text, or if it's a video review, the dialogue, the VO, the narration of what someone is saying about the game, their thoughts on it. And I think this is kind of even very relevant right now when you're watching this, because a couple of days ago, Alien Isolation reviews came out. And, I mean, there were scores ranging from 5 to 10. Which in my personal opinion is fantastic. I love the fact that there was this broad spectrum, this differing opinion. It's brilliant. It's boring when somebody's just across the board, yeah, it's an 8. No, I want to hear different thoughts on video games, because we're all different people. What a wanky way to end it. Anyway, thank you very much for commenting in, lads. I do appreciate it. And please, I urge all of you who are watching this, please comment on this here episode of Debatable. Tell me why I'm wrong, why PlayStation Home is a sack of shit and it should never come back in any way, shape or form. And you can do so, leave a comment, you can tweet me I suppose first of all, or you can leave a comment in this here YouTube video, just type it in there or in the article on godisgeek.com, because everything I said on this show and past shows and future shows, look, it's just my opinion and my opinion alone. And as always, dear friends, it's debatable.